Welcome to Medical School Made Easy. This is Mugomba Ronald, teacher Dr. Mugomba Ronald. Today we are going to go ahead and look at embryology, introduction to embryology, and today we are handling development of the placenta and the embryonic membranes. Consider to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please click the like button, and please share. Click the notification so that you can always receive the new videos that we are posting. Consider subscribe as always. Let us go straight to our first question, which says the umbilical cord may loop around the fetus and become knocked, which may cause fetal distress. Is this statement true or false? The statement that we have mentioned above is true. Yes, it is true. It is possible that the cord can loop along and usually it can cause fetal distress by reducing blood supply to the fetus, and that can lead to death of the fetus. Most of the times the parents, it is true. So most of the times the mothers, the expectant mothers usually are helped to be delivered. The babies are delivered by cesarean section. Let us go straight to the next question that says, when the amount of amniotic fluid exceeds 2 liters, this condition is called, we have oligohydramnios, polyhydramnios, or hydrohydramnios. Then we have amniotitis, a bag of water, hydrogravida. Now, what is the most correct answer? The most correct answer is D. The most correct answer is D. What we usually call polyhydramnios, the most correct answer when the amount exceeds 2 liters, that is polyhydramnios. Usually, what is meant by oligohydramnios is simply when the amniotic fluid usually is less than 400 mils. When we have amniotic fluid greater than 1,500 mils, that is what we call polyhydramnios. And there are a number of things that bring them. One of them is oligohydramnios is caused by renal agenesis. That is to say, the kidney is somehow inefficient when it comes to excreting out the urine from the fetus. And then two, the polyhydramnios sometimes is brought about by the portal sequence, esophageal atresia, microcephaly, or ancephaly. So it leads to too much of the amniotic fluid. Amniocytis is simply an inflammation of the amniotic fluid. Now that takes us to the next question, number 3, which says the wall of the chorionic sac is composed of. That is number 3. The wall of the chorionic sac is composed of 1. Cytotrophoblast and syncytotrophoblast. 2 layers of the trophoblast lined by the extraembryonic somatic mesoderm. And then the next one is trophoblast and extracoelomic membrane. D, extraembryonic splanchnic mesoderm, and both layers of the trophoblast. None of the above. What is the most correct answer? According to our question, the most correct answer is B. The 2 layers of the most correct answer is B. The 2 layers of the trophoblasts and the extraembryonic somatic mesoderm. Usually, the outer layer of the chorionic sac is the cytotrophoblast shell, and this the sac is lined with the extraembryonic mesoderm of the somatic type, because it does not contact the yolk sac lining the intervillous space, that is known as the syncytium. and usually later the amniotic sac pushes against and fuses with the chorionic sac. That tends to get rid of the chorionic cavity. That takes us to number 4. So number 3, the most correct answer is B. That takes us to number 4. The most distinctive characteristic of the chorionic villi, primary chorionic villi, is A, the outer syncytiotrophoblastic layer, B, the cytotrophoblastic shell, C, extraembryonic somatic mesoderm core, D, brachy appearance, E, cytotrophoblastic core. The most correct answer here is what is the most correct answer for number 4? The most correct answer for number 4 is E. Number 4, the most correct answer is E. That is to say, the cytotrophoblastic core. Okay, so when you look at the primary villi, so the most correct answer is E. The primary villi is characterized by the outer layer of the syncytotrophoblast that we usually know, then the outer cytotrophoblast. So usually all the 3 different villi usually have the outer layer of the syncytotrophoblast. The cytotrophoblastic shell is a feature that is usually on a mature chorionic, on a mature chorion, and then the extraembryonic somatic mesoderm usually forms the core for the secondary one, and then being vesicular is for the developed tertiary villi. The primary villi usually develops at around 14th day. So when they tell you to talk about the distinctive feature of the primary villi, that one, it is the cytotrophoblast, is the most distinguishing feature. Okay, it is the most distinguishing feature. Then vascularization is the distinguishing feature for tertiary. Then embryonic somatic mesoderm forms the core of the secondary. Okay, that takes us to the number 5. Chorionic villi is designated as secondary chorionic villi when A, contacts the decidual basalis, B, is covered by the cytotrophoblast, C, develops the mesenchymal core, D, gives rise to the branch villi, E, none of the above. Now, the most correct answer for number 5 is C, develops a mesenchymal core, as we had discussed earlier. Number 6, when the chorionic villi becomes vascularized, they are called, and we had already talked about that as well earlier. So when they become vascularized, it is called a tertiary villi, not a branch, not a stem, not anchoring, and not mature. So it becomes a tertiary villi. That makes C the most correct answer for number 6. That takes us straight to number 7. The most important region in the deciduum for nourishment of the conceptus is the decidia. What is the most correct answer for nourishing the fetus? Which decidia is that? Number 7. Okay. The decidia basalis. The correct answer is D. Decidia basalis. So the decidia basalis is the one that is for nourishing the fetus. Usually the placenta is usually made up of 2 tissues, the chorionic, the fetal tissue, and then the maternal tissue. So the maternal tissue is usually made up of what they call the decidia basalis. The decidia basalis is the one that usually makes up the maternal part of the villus system, and then the fetal part of the villus system is usually made up of the brachy or villus chorionic villi. Smooth chorionic leaf is usually covered by the basidia capsularis, and we shall see, as we shall see later, basidia capsularis usually disappears as the fetus grows. because usually the smooth chorion usually pushes up against the decidia parietalis. So the most correct answer here, as we have seen, is D. The most correct answer is D. A is wrong, B is wrong, C is wrong, and E is wrong. The intervillous space contains all the following except A, oxygen, B, carbon dioxide, C, maternal blood cells, D, fetal blood cells, E, electrolytes. Now, the most correct answer for number 8 is D. Usually, the intervillous space contains oxygen because oxygen is required for the cells to carry out oxygen, to carry out respiration, the fetal cells to carry out oxygen. It is usually having carbon dioxide because it is a waste product from the fetus. It usually contains maternal cells because usually the maternal blood vessels, the spiral blood vessels, are usually ruptured. So sometimes maternal blood vessels can make their way there, but fetal blood never makes it there. Then electrolytes are also present. Now, that takes us to so the most correct answer for number 8 is D. Now, that takes us to number 9. Which one of the following materials usually does not cross the placenta? The placenta barrier or placenta or barrier. A, free fatty acids. B, steroid hormones. C, bacteria. D, vitamins. E, viruses. The most correct answer for number 9 is C. Bacteria is too large to cross the placental barrier. But when you look at the free fatty acids, they usually cross because they are needed for the fetus to grow. Their energy stores. Then steroid hormones usually also can cross with ease. There are other substances like even alcohol. The vitamins are needed for the body of the fetus to grow. The viruses like rubella, like the herpes simplex virus, like the Zika virus, they have a tendency to cross. Though they are not required, but they can cross because of their very small size. They can easily cross the fetus, the placenta. So the most correct answer here is C. Number 9, it is C. Now, that takes us to number 10. The tissue of the 4-week embryo that lies in contact with the decidia basalis is A, the cytotrophoblast shell, B, the syncytotrophoblast villi, C, the chorionic leaf, D, the extraembryonic somatic mesoderm, E, all the above. Now we are choosing the most correct answer for number 10. Number 10, the most correct answer is A, the cytotrophoblastic layer. So the cytotrophoblastic layer is the most correct answer. Usually, as the chorionic villi is forming, the chorionic villi are forming by the 3rd week. Cells of the cytotrophoblast layer form the shell around the chorion. Following this, usually, the syncytium usually lines the intervillous spaces primarily, and some villi attached to the cytotrophoblast shell. These are the anchoring villi. So the cytotrophoblast shell is the one that usually the one that makes contact with the decidia basalis. Okay, that takes us to number 11. So the most correct answer for number 10, we have agreed that it is A. Number 11, at or near term, intervillous space has a volume of A, 150 mils, B, 400 mils, C, 500 mils, D, 1000 mils, E, 1.5 to 2 liters. The most correct answer here is A, that is C, 150 mils. Why? Because usually the intervillous space is usually reduced prior to patrition. Prior to patrition, it is reduced. It is so high to say it is 1 liter. It is very high to say it is 1 liter. But the most correct answer is A. Because usually it has to be reduced. 1 liter is so big, very, very big.
The intervillous space is usually very small. It reduces. Why? Because we need rapid circulation of, we need rapid exchange of materials between the maternal blood and the fetal blood, especially towards partition, because we are from a period known as the fetal period, which is characterized by rapid growth of the fetus. So we need a short distance across which materials have to travel. So A is the most correct answer. The primary source of energy in the is A. In the fetal energy is A. Fetal intestines. B. Placenta. D. C. Amniotic fluid. D. Maternal fats. The most correct answer here is D. Is B. The most correct answer is B. The placenta. The fetal intestines are still inactive because the fetus is not eating. The amniotic fluid it does not do any nutritive role. It simply does protective role, protecting the fetus from dehydration and mechanical shock. It is not maternal fat. Maternal fat is not even, by the maternal fat does not go to the across the placenta. It's only the free fatty acids. So that makes B the most correct answer, because that is where exchange of materials takes place. Good. That takes us to number 13. The portion of the decidia basalis which does not survive until the end of pregnancy is the portion of the decidia basalis which does not survive till the end of pregnancy is. What is the most correct answer for number 13? The most correct answer is A, as we had discussed earlier. The decidia capsularis, that part known as capsularis is the one that does not survive till the end of pregnancy. Basalis, that is B. C. Leaf. D. Parietalis. E. Frondosum. Those do survive. A is the most correct answer, which is capsularis. Usually the chorionic frondosum and the decidia basalis make up what we call the placenta. Chorionic leaf is just a smooth chorion and is usually covered by the decidia capsularis. As the fetus usually enlarges, the chorion leaf pushes against the decidia parietalis, and the capsularis has to disappear finally. So that makes the A the correct answer. Number 14, attachment of the umbilical cord to the fetal membrane instead of attachment of the umbilical cord to the fetal membrane instead of to the placenta is called 1. Battledore placenta. B. Watson's placenta. C. Valametas insertion. D. Cotyledon of the placenta. E. Eccentric insertion. What is the most correct answer? What is the most correct answer for number 14? Number 14, the most correct answer is C. That is to say, the most correct answer is C. That is Valametas insertion. Yes, sometimes the umbilical cord does not insert directly onto the placenta. Sometimes it inserts on the sides of the placenta. So when it attaches on the fetal membranes, it is called Valametas insertion. Now, if the umbilical cord usually inserts into, so the most correct answer is C. If the umbilical cord also inserts onto the margins of the placenta, now that is what they call now the Battledore placenta. Watson's jelly is just that jelly that is found within the umbilical cord surrounding the umbilical vein and umbilical arteries. Good. So the most correct answer is C. That takes us to number 15, which says the amniotic fluid is not concerned with A. Regulation of temperature. B. Exchange of fetal waste. C. Protection of the conceptus. D. Nutrition of the embryo. As we have discussed earlier, the most correct answer is early nutrition of the embryo. We have discussed earlier that the amniotic fluid is very important for regulation of temperature. It is very important when it comes to exchange of fetal wastes. It is very important when it comes to protection of the conceptus, but it does not do any nutritive role. Nutrition is done by the placenta. Good. That takes us to number 16. Which one of the following is not true concerning the sedia basalis? A. Lies between the villus chorionic chorion and myometrium. B. Forms the roof of the placenta. C. Supplies blood to the intervillous spaces. D. Is partially composed of fetal tissues. Number 16. The most correct answer is D. We have seen earlier that the sedia basalis is usually conserved. The placenta is just attached. In fact, the placenta never. It is partially composed of fetal tissues. The sedia basalis does not have any fetal tissues. That is not correct. That is the most correct answer. Okay. That is the most correct answer. D is the most correct answer. All the decidual tissue is a maternal, purely maternal. So the sedia basalis is just the roof of the placenta, especially if we consider typical posterior implantation, the normal implantation of the placenta site. Usually, the spiral vessels from the basalis enter the intervillous spaces, and the basalis lies just between the chorion and the myometrium. In fact, if it enters there is some kind of fetal tissue connecting into the sedia basalis, that is dangerous, because usually we have the sedia functionalis, which is usually involved as part of the endometrium. Now, if it enters the sedia basalis, that means that we are going to go ahead and do cesarean. We might even remove the entire placenta when the mother has finally delivered. So it is dangerous. Okay. That makes D the most correct answer for number 16. Number 17, the mechanisms involved in placental transfer of materials include A. Facilitated diffusion, B. Penocytosis, C. Active transport, D. Simple diffusion, E. All the above. The most correct answer is E. That is, say all the above. We can see facilitated diffusion like glucose uses facilitated diffusion, penocytosis like steroid, some small lipids can cross by penocytosis. Active transport, some materials can cross by active transport. Simple diffusion like the gases, the oxygen and carbon dioxide. So the correct answer is E. Which of the following, number 18, which one of the following is not true concerning the umbilical cord? Which one of the following is not true concerning the umbilical cord? A. It attaches near to the center of the placenta. B. It may not be attached to the placenta. C. It normally contains 2 arteries and one vein. D. It may form a knot that can cause fetal distress. E. It contains cardiac jelly. The most correct answer here is E. It does not contain the cardiac jelly. It contains the Watson's jelly we had talked about earlier. So the rest are correct. It is true that it has 2 arteries and 1 vein. It may not and cause fetal distress, as we had seen on number 1. It is usually attached at the center of the placenta. If it attaches out from the center of the placenta, we saw that is dangerous. Now, that makes E the most correct answer. The chorionic sac surrounds the embryo, the amniotic sac and the yolk sac. Is that true or false? That is very true. It is very true. During the embryonic period, the chorionic cavity and the sac surround the embryo, the yolk sac, and the amniotic sac. Later, however, the growth of the fetus and the amniotic sac usually remove or make the cavity to disappear. that is the chorionic cavity, and the amniotic cavity and the chorion, the amnion and the chorion, the amnion and the chorion usually fuse and they form the amniochorionic membrane. Okay, that takes us to number 20. Number 20, which says, which one of the following is a component of which one of the following is a component of the placental barrier? A, endometrium lining. B, cytotrophoblast. C, syncytotrophoblast. D, the basement membrane of the fetal capillaries. E, all the above. Number 20, what is the most correct answer? Number 20, what is the most correct answer? For number 20, they are saying, which of the following is not a component of a mature placental barrier? Is it the endometrial lining of the fetal capillaries, the cytotrophoblast, the syncytotrophoblast, the basement membrane of the fetal capillaries, or all the above apart? We know what usually happens almost midway the gestation period, we know that the cytotrophoblast usually disappears. The cytotrophoblast is the one that usually disappears midway, along with the extraembryonic mesoderm layers. All of them are lost. So the most correct answer is the B. Good. That takes us to number 21. Which is not true concerning the human placenta? A, is divided into a number of cup-like compartments by incomplete septa of the maternal tissue. B, has intervillous space filled with maternal blood and lined by syncytotrophoblasts. C, has chorionic villi as the functional units. D, is anchored by maternal tissue by columns of syncytotrophoblasts. What is the most correct answer for number 21? The most correct answer for number 21 is D. All the above are correct about the human placenta except D. So the correct answer is D. Usually, the human placenta, that is true, that is divided into cup-like septa, and those cup-like septa are usually called the cotyledons. They are usually called the cotyledons, and has intervillous spaces that are filled with the maternal blood, and they are lined by the syncytotrophoblast. Remember, we say the cytotrophoblast is usually lost, and has a chorionic villi as the function unit. But usually, we see continuous movement of blood, maternal blood, from one compartment to the other, because it is usually partial separation. It's not complete separation to form the completely separated cotyledons. It is usually partial. Okay, that takes us to number 22. Placenta previa. The placenta may detach and cause severe bleeding and fetal anoxia during delivery. Is that statement true or false? Number 22. That statement is very true. The statement is correct. It is true. Yes, placenta previa, especially. So placenta previa is usually a condition where the placenta overbridges the internal OS of the uterus, and it can lead to severe bleeding and death of the fetus due to anoxic conditions. So usually such parents, when they diagonize, they usually deliver by cesarean section. When the human placenta, we can go ahead and look at number 23. Number 23 says, A. It says, the human placenta, A, the maternal components are formed by the sedia capsularis. B, shows no change with age. C, retains cytotrophoblast layer of the placental barrier throughout the gestation. D, the chorionic villi is the functional and the structure. The chorionic villi as the structure and function unit. So the most correct answer here, as we have seen earlier, it is D. These others are not correct. Has maternal compartment forming the
decidia capsularis, that is not correct. Decidia capsularis, that's not correct. It is decidia functionalis or decidia frondosum that forms the maternal part. Shows no change with age, that's not correct, because we said the cytotrophoblast usually disappears along with the extraembryonic mesoderm layers. They disappear. And it changes. We see even villi changing from primary to secondary and finally to tertiary. So it changes. That makes D the correct answer for number 23. 24. The placental intervillous space A is divided into compartments by the placental septa. B is continuous space throughout the placenta. C is lined with cytotrophoblasts. D contains saturating maternal blood. E, all the above. I can hear all of you say that the most correct answer is E. All the above statements are correct for number 24. Good. So, under normal conditions, the placenta acts as a barrier against A, transfer of drugs and metabolites, B, transfer of all infectious agents, C, transfer of nutrients, D, mixing of maternal blood, E, transfer of hormones. So the most correct answer for number 25 is simply D. D is the most correct answer. Usually it acts as a barrier against maternal blood mixing, though sometimes some drugs can go across, like nicotine, they can go across. We can see alcohol going across. Infectious agents like rubella, herpes simplex virus, the Zika virus, they can go across, though they are not needed, but they can go across. We can see some steroid hormones coming into play, going across. Nutrients go across, metabolites go across, like glucose and amino acids. That makes D the most correct answer. D is the most correct answer. That takes us to number 26, which says human chorionic gonadotropin hormone. Human chorionic gonadotropin hormone is produced by A, cytotrophoblast. Since your trophoblast. A, that is A. B, anterior pituitary gland. C, thicker follicular. D, corpus luteum of pregnancy. E, embryoblast. The most correct answer is A, cytotrophoblast. Human chorionic gonadotropin hormone is usually released when the placenta, when the corpus luteum finally degenerates. When corpus luteum finally degenerates, then the placenta, because it has not yet developed very well to start producing progesterone, it produces since your trophoblast, that outermost layer of the trophoblast, now starts secreting beta hCG, which is very important for maintaining the corpus luteum to continue secreting progesterone hormone, which is required for the maintenance of pregnancy. That takes us to that makes A the correct answer. Number 27. Which one of the following materials usually crosses the placenta? Which one of the following materials usually crosses the placenta? A, free fatty acids. B, steroid hormones. C, drugs, chemicals with molecular weight of less than 500. D, vitamins. E, all the above. So the most correct answer is all the above. A. Good. Which one of the following structures is responsible for transfer of nutrients to the fetus? A, cytotrophoblastic shell. B, trophoblast, decidia basalis. C, D, cotyledon, spiral arteries. E, F, the intervillous space. E, G, tertiary villus. H, umbilical artery. I, umbilical vein. We know umbilical vein is the correct answer. This vitelline duct is it does not participate when it comes. It is rudimentary. It does not participate when it comes to nutrient transport. Umbilical artery removes wastes. Spiral artery, that's maternal. Cotyledons are simply those compartments
brought about as placental section, as the placenta becomes sectioned. Okay, that makes number 28 the most correct answer for number 28 as umbilical vein. Okay, that takes us to number 29, which says, which one of the following structures, which structure is found in the umbilical cord but is not part of the fetal circulatory system? A, cytoplastic shell. B, trophoblast. C, decidia basalis. Spiral artery, cotyledons, intervillous space, tertiary villi, umbilical artery, umbilical vein, syncytial node, vitelline duct, chorionic fundusum, amniotic. So the most correct answer for number 29 is K, the vitelline cavity. It is usually part of the umbilical cord, but it does not make part of the fetal saturation. So it is the most correct answer that we shall take. Usually, when you observe the umbilical artery, you will observe two arteries and one vein. Okay, and this vitelline cavity, vitelline duct, it is not involved when it comes to saturation of the fetus. Good. Number 30. Which one of the following structures should normally be found in a pair as a pair? Good. Cytotrophoblast shell. B, trophoblast. C, decidia basalis. D, cotyledons. E, spiral artery. F, intervillous space. G, tertiary villus. H, umbilical artery. I, umbilical vein. As we had seen earlier, the answer is umbilical artery. They are usually found in pairs. When you do microscopic and when you do study of the umbilical cord after birth. Number 31. Which one of what is the maternal and the fetal portions of the placenta respectively? What is the most correct answer for number 31? The most correct answer for number 31 is the maternal part is, so the most correct answer is for number 31. The most correct answer for number 31 is B. B is the most correct answer. The decidia basalis, that is the maternal part, and then the fetus part is the villus chorion. That is correct. The other alternatives are not correct. Okay, number 32. Which poisonous gas can cross the placenta membrane? Carbon monoxide A, B, oxygen, C, carbon dioxide, D, methyl dopa. Methyl dopa is just a drug that can cross, so it is not a gas. So the correct answer is A. Carbon monoxide is the correct answer, and that makes A the correct answer. Okay, oxygen is not toxic, carbon dioxide is not toxic, so A is the most correct answer. Number 33. There are 3 saturation shunts in the fetal saturation. Which one of the following allows blood from the fetus, from the placenta, to bypass the liver? What is the most correct answer? Okay, I can say everyone say C is the most correct answer. That is ductus venosus. Ductus arteriosus usually connects pulmonary trunk with the aortic arc, and that allows blood to bypass the developing lungs. The foramen ovale is just a hole that links the right side of the heart, the right auricles, to the left auricles, and that one allows blood to quickly go through the heart. And then when you look at the ductus venosus is a bypass that allows us to decide to not to go to the liver, because the liver is not functional. Okay, that takes us to number 34, which says erythroblastosis fetalis occurs due to 34. Erythroblastosis fetalis usually occurs due to AB, incompatibility. B, rhesus baby born by rhesus negative mother, rhesus positive baby born by rhesus negative mother. C, uterorubero infections. D, uterine HIV infection, the most correct answer is B. When a rhesus baby is carried by rhesus mother, rhesus negative mother, rhesus positive baby carried by rhesus negative mother, and this is almost like the second born. This erythroblastosis usually happens because the mother might have been sensitized. Mother's immune system was sensitized in the first birth. When patrician was being carried out, maternal blood was sensitized and then started synthesizing antibodies against the rhesus antigen. So second birth comes when the mother has a lot of amount of antibodies against the rhesus antigen, so it will destroy the fetus during fetal. It will go across the placenta and go to destroy the fetal red blood cells, and then because of the destruction of the fetal red blood cells, it leads to the body of the fetus to start secreting premature red blood cells because to catch up with the need. Okay, that takes us to our very last question, and that is to say, what abnormally causes? So the answer for number 34 is B. What abnormality causes oligohydramnios? Oligohydramnios, is it Porter's sequence? Is it esophageal atresia? Is it annular pancreas? So the most correct answer for oligohydramnios, we shall go with the, what is the most correct answer? We also have other alternatives. Okay, is it microcephaly or renal agenesis? The most correct answer is E, renal agenesis. When the kidneys have not developed, we are most likely to have oligohydramnios, and it is characterized by amniotic fluid less than 1.5 liters. Esophageal atresia and Porter's sequence, those ones bring about what we call polyhydramnios. Thank you so much for listening. So the most correct answer here is renal agenesis. I remain Mugomba Ronald, teacher Dr. Mugomba Ronald, MBCHB. Thank you so much. Consider to subscribe, consider to like and share with friends.